How you doing, YouTube? Mountain Master Beer Reviews back with a little side-by-side. Oh, yeah, baby. I love me a little bit of side-by-side, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we're going to be doing a little bit of not too far away from me, Belgian-esque, quadruple-esque time in the form of 2017 Ommegang 3 Philosophers versus the 2014 version. Ommegang. I've done quite a few of their beers. It's been a while since I've had one now, so I'm super excited to give it a whirl. And, you know, it's been a while. I can't tell you the last time I had a 3 Philosophers, to be perfectly honest with you. But about a month or so ago, my buddy Joel, you've seen him. He's given me some beers. He's done a couple beer reviews with me. He dropped this 2014 3 Philosophers on me, and I was like, God damn it. I gotta do a side-by-side. Now, this is actually from 2014. It was like late... I think the date and code's on there. I tried to look it up again real quick. I couldn't find it. But it was from early 2014. This is the latest 2017 I could find because I tried to match them up. So they're not exactly 3 years different because this is being February 2018. So 3 years, 4 years. Holy shit balls. Really? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 years. 4 years. 4 years different. Just by a couple months. So whatever. I couldn't find the exact bottling date, but it's close enough. We're going to call it a 4-year difference. So, anyway, for those that don't know, 3 Philosophers is probably one of the first beers I ever had from Ommegang. I grabbed it years ago. I don't even know where I had it. And it was always a unique beer in that it's a quad and it actually has a bit of Kriek in it. Leafman's Kriek, which I always thought brought something fun to the table, fresh. But I think it brought a little bit of mayhem and a little bit of funness as far as aging goes. So it's going to be fun to kind of do these side by side. As far as what the new one says, you see markedly different looking bottles and labeling and the whole nine. It just is, I'm not going to read everything on here, but it's to say Ommegang Brewery, Cooperstown, New York, 3 Philosophers, 98% quad, 2%. It says here with cherries added. 2% ale with cherries added. They don't actually put the Leafman's name on this bottle anymore. It just says pour slowly, this, that, and the other thing. In the back here it talks about, you know, how you should drink it and you should, you know, contemplate things while you're drinking this, that, and the other kind of thing. It goes quadruple ale with serendipitous cherry Kriek. It doesn't really go and talk about the whole Leafman's connection here. Over here it actually does. And it says 3 Philosophers, 98% ale, and it's 2% ale with cherries added. And it actually goes unique Belgian style blend of Ommegang quadruple ale and Leafman's Kriek. Now, I don't know if that is, I think at one point, and I don't look shit up beforehand, but I'm pretty sure they had some kind of rights or some kind of purchasing rights to Leafman's, and that kind of went away. So they still use it. I looked into it that much, at least. They still use Leafman's Kriek, but they don't name it on the label. Does that matter at all? I don't really think so. Pretty similar. While they're quite different bottle-wise, label-wise, they're actually still pretty similar. So it's cool on them, or good on them for keeping the kind of old-school vibe. I shouldn't even say that, because these used to be like a white bottle with different kind of lettering on it. So it's been rebranded a couple times. But moving from this iteration to this one, it actually looks pretty similar, even though it's quite a bit different. Yeah, the old ones were just like a white. I think they only came in 750s, cork and cage. And they were kind of like white with a brown stripe on them. And then the 3 Philosophers written in a big, huge script. So they were quite a bit different back in the day. So anyway, let's pop these off. See what we got. Pop that first one. This second one, that Kriek made in there. You don't know how she's going to react. So not too shabby. Let's give her a pour. See what she's got. Definitely way more murky over there on the aged end of things. They might end up looking very similar from you. And actually, this side ends up looking darker to me, and most likely to you. Obviously, the head's a bit smaller in this one, and it's not just my pores making it that way. This beer just had this kind of, lack of carbonation on it. This one had a more kind of aggressive carbonation going on. This ended up coming out of the bottle itself quite a bit murkier. In the pour, you can actually see it coming out of the bottle. This one was clearer, but it's a darker beer as a whole. So you can see vast difference as far as color goes. You'd expect the older one to be a little bit darker, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, head-wise, as you can see, This one didn't generate too big of a head, and it wasn't so much of my pores, just that's how the beer is, because you even give it a swirl, that'll dissipate really quickly. This one kind of want to sits around. Is it an oxidation thing? Is it the way the Kriek kind of affected the beer? I don't know. Start with the newer one, get a nose on her. There's almost a smoky character to it, to be honest with you. You're definitely getting cherries. You're getting cherries from that kind of yeast end of things, but you're also getting it from the Kriek end of things, I believe. It's a combination of that quadruple with the kind of Kriek in there. You're not getting an overt kind of sourness to it or tartness to it, but you're getting this slightly, almost like the cherries were smoked. Oh, there's a sweetness to it. You're getting that nice, authentic Belgian-style candied sugar. It's not like a burnt, caramelized kind of brown sugar. It's more of kind of a legit kind of Belgian candied sugar. It's sweet. It's smoky. It has a little touch of savoriness to it. It has this really nice bready character to it. It has everything you want in a Belgian-esque, because I don't want to say Belgian because people will freak the fuck out because it's not from there. Belgian style kind of soul. Let's put it that way. But those cherries come off a little bit more pronounced. They have a little bit of smokiness, kind of savoriness to it. There's that added little pop to it. It smells really nice. Doesn't smell overly sweet, but sweet enough. And everything smells legit. Let's see what the 4-year-old version is. Okay, definitely oxidized to a point. You're getting some wet paper in there. Definitely kind of mushy, wet cardboard. But I'm getting a more pronounced pruning kind of raisinette thing that I'm not getting in here. That's your age working for you. That's a combination of that age and oxidation kind of working back and forth. Doesn't bother me. The oxidation point, I'm drink so many aged beers, does not bother me all in any form or fashion, but you lost that big, robust cherryness. It's like I said, it's been replaced by that pruniness, and you get that kind of slightly raisinette vibe that I covet so much. It smells like it actually has lost carbonation. When you smell this, there's almost like you get little pricklies on the end of your nose. Here, it's kind of stagnant and stale. Not in a negative way. I shouldn't use the word stale. But, yeah, a little bit of oxidation over here, combined with more raisinette pruniness, with a bit of chocolate going on over here. More vibrant, more bright, more new. Kind of makes sense. In a big, huge, hefty, legit Belgian soul with a nice kind of extra pop of cherries in it. So it's kind of to a T what I thought I was going to get from both of them. So yeah, let's dive in. Cheers. That's vibrant. The Belgian candied sugar, it comes off a little bit burnt sugar to me, as opposed to just authentic Belgian candied sugar. So on the nose, it smells more authentic. And the taste, it comes off a little bit kind of brown sugary to me. Kind of burnt brown sugary. Not super kind of Americanized, but a little bit. Yeast is very dry in here. I thought I was going to get a big punch of like kind of fruitiness, kind of fruit cakiness from the yeast, but I'm just getting a big kind of dryness from it. Big dry component. Cherries not as big as I thought they would be, or as big as I want them to be, but they're there. Sweet. A little bit sweeter than I like it to be. A tasty beer. Tasty beer. It's just, it definitely, and I've felt this way about Ommegang in the past. You can go and watch my reviews. I believe I've done 3 fills before. I actually might have done a side-by-side before. It has this kind of, the yeast has always been a thing for me with Ommegang. It's just their yeast isn't my favorite thing. It's Duvel-born yeast. That's kind of their jam. They're owned by Duvel. And Duvel has never been my kind of favorite kind of yeast strainy brewery, and I believe they brought that in there and kind of used that kind of classic Duvel yeast. And while tasty, it just kind of misses the mark. It's not as robust. It's not as dynamic as some other yeasts from some of the big, huge kind of kings of the hill when it comes to kind of Belgian beers that I've had before. You know, your Westmalle, your Westfiedelings, your La Trappe, your Koninghove, and that kind of brewery. It's nice. It's tasty. It's a little bit dry. Not as fruity as I'd want it to be. And while you get a tinge of that tartness, I'd like it to be a pop bigger. You know, maybe 4% instead of 2%. Nitpicking here. Let's see what the aged one has to offer. Cheers. Age hasn't done it well. Age hasn't done it that bad. It's pretty much what I got on the nose. I'm getting a bit of that kind of pruning thing with a subtle raisin nuttiness, low carbonation, big amount of wet paper. Same mouthfeel to it. Minus carbonation as far as the density of the beer itself goes. You expect that Kriek to kind of, I don't want to say infect, kind of take hold of the beer. It got a little bit more vibrant, but not that big. Almost like this beer kind of settled down a little bit. The Kriek stayed the same, if not climbed just to hit a little bit. A fun little side-by-side, though. It just shows you how beers mature. This is the one thing when it comes to this. Listen, I like both of these, and they're quite tasty. They're both going to be drank tonight. It's not something I'm going to toss down the sink or anything like that. But I wish this one had a little bit more kind of Belgian soul to it, even though the nose is killer. Just that yeast isn't my favorite, and that Belgian candied sugar comes off a little bit burnt brown sugar as opposed to legit Belgian candied sugar. This could be a little bit better kept. It has a bit of kind of oxidation issues, and the beer didn't age super gracefully, but at the same time it's pretty damn tasty. So they're fun beers. They're tasty. That's not the point of this. To me, when I do these, it's fun to see where beers end up. This isn't science. You know, this beer could be processed and made completely different nowadays than it was 4 years ago. So to expect them to be making the same exact beer over and over again is a tall order. I mean, you know, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be people with the knowledge of how to brew Belgian beers, because I'm amazed with such yeast-driven beers, how consistent they can be from year to year from a lot of these kind of Belgian quads. But it's fun to see how beers age. And I implore people to do this. Do you know what I mean? Not a lot of people do this. Everybody's in that kind of hop haze frame of mind when it comes to beers. And when you're presented with something like this, so Joel was kind enough to kind of toss me one of the aged ones, the first thing that popped in my mind was to do a side-by-side. And I just think it's a really good exercise for people to do when they're kind of drinking beer. Sure, do you like Belgian beers or do you like old beers? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's a good lesson to learn when it comes to kind of being into beer and trying beer and enjoying beer. Knowing where a beer tracks, how it ages, how things change. Sure, in a perfect world, this beer might have been a little better capped or whatnot, and it might have been a better beer now where it is age-wise. But the fact that you get to taste something side by side like that is fun in and of itself. I'm not really going to break it down as far as what's awesome about each beer. I always thought Ommegang was quite a nice brewery. They've never been my favorite brewery in the United States as far as making the Belgian styles, but they're pretty damn good, let's put it that way. So if you like the Belgian style beers, it's worth giving it a whirl to see if it lands for you. Again, I think it's going to be a very particular thing when it comes to the yeast, but it's worth giving it a whirl regardless. And their price point is usually pretty damn awesome for what they give you. And, you know, their footprint's decently big. And honestly, you know, even though they are owned by somebody else, Duvel, I think Duvel does right by the breweries that they end up kind of taking over. So if you're going to be bought out by anybody, Duvel's not a bad brewery to be bought out. Let's put it that way. So yeah, final thoughts. Fun side-by-side, tasty beers. I don't think age does it amazingly, but at the same time, if you ever get your chance to do a side-by-side of aged beers like this, or any beer that lends itself to aging, do it. You won't regret it. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there, words and stuff if you want to talk about it. Social media, you can check me out. Go to Googs, type in Massive Beers. Conversely, if you want to see me in the podcasting thing, I'm doing all the podcasting stuff that I do that's vastly different than this. Beer Massive, M-A-S-S-I-F. And yeah, another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the side-by-side. Hopefully enjoying a nice little aged versus new jammer right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.